Okay, so this is not going to be much of a video. If you look at Wix filters, you see that Wix is a 51-372, and this is a 1-372. This is a 51-372 XP, and this is a 4-1-372. What they end up doing is the 1-372 is the gold filter made by Wix, and the 5-1-372 is the basic gold filter made by Wix but in their brand. So it's 51-372, 1-372. Napa has their filters made by Wix. The 5-1-372 XP is their more of a synthetic line, better media technology, more like that nano type technology. I forget what they exactly call it, but just humor me. I'm just going to blow through this because there's no point in spending a lot of time, because Wix makes all these filters for them and Napa. The Napa Platinum filter is the same filter as the Wix XP, identical. I've heard guys say you can get the Platinum filters online for like literally like $7.50, and the Wix ones you can get them on sale for like $7.50, $8, $9, just depending on which one you find a sale on. Really impressed with the XP filter and the Platinum filter here. Very good design. At the same time, they're using an old style bottom fed bypass valve in all of these filters. That's why I typically like the Purelator design, where Purelator makes the Mopar filters and the Motorcraft filters, because the bypass valve is moved up to the top. You know, all the same anti-feedback diaphragm here, all the same thickness gasket across the board, all the same ends. The higher ends do end up getting this. It sits in the top of this, and then the bypass valve, or the anti-feedback diaphragm, will sit around. I think it sits like that. Yeah. Wait a second here. Yeah, it does. It sits like that. And this will actually turns around the other way. And then when it's pressed in there, it'll be pressed in with the spring underneath inside the can. Like so, and then this filter will be. Anyhow, I love the Wix line. Looks just like a standard Purelator filter. Bypass valve in the bottom, bypass valve in the bottom. I like how thick the media is. It is really easy to rip the standard style stuff, but a lot of people get hung up on that. They do put quite a bit of pleats in for filtering. Wix is an outstanding filter. There's absolutely zero wrong with the filter. All of them have thin cans. You know, there's nothing super spectacular about the cans. They're very flimsy, but these are just standard style filters. You know, they're nothing too crazy about them. The same style thin can, even on the higher end Platinum version. So there was no upgrade there. There's no upgrade to the end. There's no real upgrade other than they throw a spring in it and call it and different media, and then call it XP or Platinum. I didn't want to throw this filter in here, but I am pretty impressed with this Fram titanium, just like the ultra synthetic. If you look at some of the Purelators, some of the Purelators have that type of end on it too, with that weird ridging on it. It's got a metal core down it, and it has an extremely strong media with actual metal ribbing through. It's a very, very nice design. It's got this extra gasket in the bottom where it sits around that bypass valve. It's an old technology type bypass valve as well that goes from the bottom just like them. If we were going to talk about really nice heavy duty end, nice gasket, anti-feedback diaphragm, just a standard one. This looks like the Ford and Mopar anti-feedback diaphragm that Purelator does for them. So that's kind of weird to see Wix using the same type design. You know, it almost makes you wonder sometimes if a lot of them are in bed with each other. Parker 9 or 5-95371. Parker 5-95371. Parker 5-95371. Parker 5-95371. Anyhow, this is, it's been interesting to see that Wix and Napa are the same filter. It's all going to boil down to this, guys. You buy a cheap filter, you need to change your filter often. If you're going and spending, $3-4 for a filter, $5 for a filter, that is a 3,000 to 5,000 mile oil change maximum. I don't care what the can says. I don't care what the manufacturer says. That is a 3,000 to 5,000 mile oil filter maximum. These filters could easily go 10,000 miles, but I would never even suggest anybody going past 5,000 miles anyway. The reason I use a good filter with good nanotechnology or filtering type media is because I want the best on my vehicle. I appreciate the fact that thing gets me from point A to point B to make money so I can provide for my family and pay my bills. People that end up taking those cheap Fram, those cheap STP, AC Delco, the cheap lower end SuperTech filters and stuff, which there's nothing wrong with, don't get me wrong. You're paying for what you get. There's a reason why they're so cheap. And people need to realize that. They need to realize that it's not just so clean, cut, and dry as I'll just throw a filter on it and I'll change my oil 10,000 miles because that's what the oil filter says it can go. And that's what the oil company that puts this mileage on the oil says it can go. They're telling you that because they want you to run the product that long to feel like you're less likely to have to service your vehicle so you can come back to them and get that oil at that same price 10,000 miles later. But eventually you end up sludging up the engine, varnishing up the engine, and it's not as clean cut and dry as you think. Service your vehicle. Wix is an outstanding filter. It's a very good quality filter. There's nothing wrong with it. K&N is a great, outstanding filter. There's nothing wrong with it. Would I pay the price for that performance filter when I'm getting the same quality out of this here? Absolutely not. I would not. Same type can design, the same type end, the same type pleating in it. This can feels a little bit stronger. It is a better can, but I'm not racing my vehicle, so I don't need a wrench to put my oil filter on. It's got a pretty decent sized thick end with good oil holes, very thin. This is the part that I don't like about, well, it's not as thin as I thought it was, actually. It's thinner than I'd like to see, but if you take and look at that end and you compare it to this one, looks a hair thicker. I think it's got, yeah, you can clearly see that. You see how thick those threads are there? And then you look at this, it's got a little bit more meat to it, it's beefier. That's the only thing I really like about the K&N filter is the fact that it just got a little bit more meat to the thread area. And if you look at the Royal Purple one, it's super thin. It's even thinner than the Wix ones. Very thin thread area. This is a great filter. I love the Wix brand. I love so Purelator standard filters, Wix standard filters, Motorcraft, Mopar, Toyota brand filters, all of them are all of very good quality for your standard oil change type stuff. Now, if you're going to start running a better, a full synthetic oil, a higher grade oil, a Pennzoil Platinum, an AMSOIL, a Redline or something like that, you want to put a nicer filter on, something like this. Something like this Royal Purple over here that has that nice filter media in it. Something like the Fram Titanium or Ultra Synthetic, something like that. Anyhow.